We're going to be talking about health and wellness, CrossFit, and more with Justin Adams.
I love it. Well, first, I want to say it's an honor. When I started this kind of carnivore journey, you were actually the first page that I followed. So to be on this is very cool for me.
Well, it's kind of interesting because we all find that in our journey of this keto carnivore or fitness journey. We find someone that inspires us, and I've been inspired by what you're doing and talking more about it. We met recently at the I think Hack Your Health conference in Austin.
That's right.
And we're just running into so many amazing people there and learning things that maybe not in our standard wheelhouse. And I've never done CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
I've certainly watched and seen a lot about it. I'm a fertility doctor, and I generally kind of recommend kind of less vigorous exercise.
Sure.
I think it's better, but I don't know that I could tell you that for everyone. I just have my opinion, and I wanted to get your opinion and your take on all of this when it comes to health and wellness and reproduction.
Man, I would love that. Would love that a lot.
And we'll make sure that we get a chance to answer any of your questions. My sub kind of back and forth. This is meant to be open for everyone out there. Just maybe start a little bit by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this health and wellness arena.
Yeah, well, my name is Justin Adams. I am the head coach of UpReach CrossFit here in Austin, Texas. Also the founder of a company called RXGymnastics Training, where we take some of the gymnastics methodology we see in the fitness world and we try to just teach it a little bit better. My background is in gymnastics. I grew up doing gymnastics. My mom had me in the Mommy and Me when I was 2 years old. Ended up rolling all the way up to the University of Texas, hook 'em horns on their gymnastics team. So a lot of fitness in between that, touched a little bit on football and baseball, but learned that really my favorite part of any sport I played was the training that went into it as opposed to the actual competition element. And so I loved off season. I loved fitness training. I loved lifting weights. And it actually kind of all came to a head when I was at UT. I was originally studying psychology. And it just wasn't what I was looking for. And so we had my counselor say, well, Justin, what do you love to do? And I said, man, I love training fitness. I love exercise. I love that. But you can't study that. So I don't know what I do. And she goes, Justin, you can. It's called kinesiology. And so actually went into the kinesiology field, and that's where I got my degree. Found CrossFit when I was at UT, had a person in my classes say, Justin, I found this thing called CrossFit, and I think you'd really like it. This was pretty early on. And I told her that I knew what CrossFit was. Everybody gets hurt and you exercise really fast. And I'm not going to do that. And she goes, Justin, I promise it's not like that. Come check out a Saturday class and I'll show you that it's different. I said, no, until eventually I gave in and said, fine, I will go to this CrossFit class to show you that I don't want to do CrossFit, and went to one class and fell in love. Ended up going to that gym and just being a part of their community. And the owner eventually said, Justin, I've got a person that does this Olympic weightlifting and somebody that specializes in endurance and somebody that specializes in kind of the strongman stuff, but nobody that does gymnastics. I was coaching gymnastics at the time. And he said, would you like to come coach? And I said, absolutely. And I started coaching for that gym in 2012 and been doing it ever since.
Well, it's interesting because in high school, way back when, the one thing I loved the most was the weight room and gymnastics.
Yep.
I was in no formal sports in high school. I worked a lot, but my best time I did, my gym class was weights and gymnastics for pretty much 3 years.
Yeah.
It was really rock solid, amazing. I loved it. I hated running. And, I played on the corner of baseball, basketball, football all day long. And so it's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the CrossFit system and what its theory is and premise, and why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, so I do think it's really important. that people differentiate what they see on ESPN with the CrossFit Games to what CrossFit as a methodology is. I know a lot of people see it on TV and they see these people doing these crazy workouts with incredibly heavy weights and super high skilled movements. And truthfully, what you see on the CrossFit Games is not what the methodology is. All the methodology is that we take these functional movements like picking stuff up off the ground, or putting something over your head, or sitting down on a chair and being able to stand up. And we take those movements and we create workouts through them. There is this idea of intensity in CrossFit. There is just some studies that show that you get the most bang for your buck by amping up the intensity without these long duration stuff. So most workouts in CrossFit, we have hour classes, and there's some workouts that may be a little bit longer kind of for an event, but you're generally going to see workouts that are anywhere from the 5-minute to 35-minute time range. But they, again, are kind of going through these functional components. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit later about my quilt ladies, but the functional component is my favorite part of it, because it's taking these movements that you do in everyday life that are really, really important and make sure that you can do them for a long time.
Is this for everyone?
I do believe CrossFit is for everyone. And so what I tell people is not everybody might be for CrossFit, but everybody can do it. And man, this is where I do want to bring up some amazing ladies. I call them my quilt ladies. Early on, about 2012, we opened a location for the gym I was working at, and it was right next door to a quilt store. It was called the Honeybee Quilt Store. And so generally quilters tend to be a little bit older, a little bit heavier, just because as what we're doing in the quilting is you sit down a lot and you go through the process of making these truly amazing things. So we were right next door to them, and I wanted to be a respectful neighbor and said, every now and again, I would go over and say, the owner's name was Diane. I said, Diane, I just want to make sure we're not being too loud. We're not banging. We're not the music, everything. Like, I just want to be really, really good for you. Diane at the time was 53. She was 305 pounds. And I offhandedly said, hey, Diane, when are you going to start? And she goes, oh, I could never do that. And that just lit something up in my brain, because I do know that CrossFit is for everybody. And I said, Diane, I'm going to give you 3 personal training sessions for free. Take them, see what you think. And if you hate it, we never have to do it again. And she did the 3 personal training sessions and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. I actually just had a class with her today. So this is 12 years later.
Wow.
Diane, over the course of this, went from never exercising in her life, was 305 pounds, could never do things like run. And she dropped well over 100 pounds. She can deadlift 225 pounds. With us, she ran her first mile ever in her whole life. And we did that through just a long duration training with her. The results were so amazing that other people in her quilt shop saw what she was doing. And now we have this class that I call my CrossFit for Quilters, CrossFit for Quilters, which has expanded to what we call the Legends program. And this is a 60+ program where we take the methodology that we do in our classes and we scale it a little bit for those people. Our oldest current member is 91 years old, still coming to the class. I've been coaching her for about 8 years now. So they are amazing, amazing humans. And it just shows that CrossFit really can be done for everybody.
I've always commented that one of the causes of inflammation is excessive exercise. And one of the things I've always been concerned about is CrossFit might be too excessive.
Yep.
But maybe it's, once again, it's having an opinion about something, but not knowing what it's really about. And would you agree with me that excessive exercise may be the cause of damage to our bodies?
And so I actually do agree with you, which some people might disagree, but I do think excessive anything can create damage. And so that's where, again, this distinction between the sport of CrossFit, what you tend to see on TV, and the methodology of CrossFit is different. If you go way back to when it was started by a guy named Greg Glassman, and he was a firm believer that you trained 2 to 3 days and then you took a rest day. And all of the workouts were anywhere between 5 and 30 minutes. And so in that context, you don't see this methodology that's excessive. And I think some gyms and some people have taken that methodology and they have created these crazy training programs. And for some people, like those that compete in the sport of it at the highest level, there is a level of excessive that you have to have. But I think for the everyday person, there is not this excessiveness that happens in the day-to-day CrossFit classes.
And this is really important, and I really love you sharing this about the quilting group. And everyone and anyone can exercise,
Sure.
move, and do something a little bit more than they do on a daily basis. That ultimately is the thing that just stretches our abilities a little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
Now, let's see, I'm 68, and I look back at high school and just kind of as a youth, we'd go play basketball, football, baseball. We'd go to the gym. We'd do weights, or we would do other activities. We stopped doing that at a certain time in our lives. When I was in junior college, I played badminton. I do all sorts of things. Then I played tennis for a while. And then it kind of like over time, it just like you slow down. You don't do it.
Yep.
And even getting back to that is a little bit of a challenge. Is part of this that if we can do a little something more regularly and starting at any age, that'll begin to loosen us up, build a little more strength and confidence that we can do pretty much everything and anything when it comes to our physical bodies.
Absolutely. So I've seen it time and time again. I've been in this field for close to 13 years now. I have seen people go from, I physically can't do very much. I can pick up a 15-pound weight, and that's about as much as you can give me, all the way to lifting crazy amounts of weight and doing long workouts. I think where people miss is they try to do it now. And so if I take somebody that is unconditioned and I put them through the same level of workout as somebody that's been doing it for years and years and years, it is going to create damage to their body. And they are going to be extremely sore and most likely not want to come back. Something that we pride ourselves on at the gym that I work at, UpReach CrossFit, is we are going to take you where you're at and we are going to slowly progress you. I always tell people when it's their first class, especially the first time doing CrossFit, if they've been out for a bit, to go, man, I feel like I didn't do very much. Because the truth is, when you're just starting, I want you to start at this very lowest level.
Yeah.
So that we can come back the next day and do a little bit more and a little bit more. And over time, we progress to be more healthy and more fit.
It's kind of like a diet. I've always said, so most people go on a diet for a goal.
Yep.
They reach their goal and then they go back to their old diet.
Sure.
And so it sounds like what you're saying is this is something that we need to think about as a lifetime activity.
Yep.
And joining a gym is an investment in your lifetime activities and experiences and joy.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Kiltz, I think we have a similar goal in what we're doing, in that through the nutrition that you promote, that I do, we want to keep people out of the nursing home for the longest time possible, right? We do that on a mitochondrial level, right? I believe fitness is the same way. I'm not teaching people to do crazy things. My goal is always to keep you out of the nursing home. And so doing activities like squats is going to allow you to do things like stand up off a chair. Doing things like deadlifts is I drop something on the ground and I'm able to pick it up. Doing a burpee is, oh no, I've fallen down, but I know I have the ability to get back up. And that is the goal, is we are creating this, this individuality, this, you can take care of yourself in your 90s, in your hundreds, and that's the goal.
I look at people that are overweight.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that we all have a skeleton that's very similar.
Sure.
Our muscle structure is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
We're carrying a coat
Yep.
of fat
Yep.
that's different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're carrying an extra 100 pounds of body fat,
Yeah.
are your muscles strong?
So, what we tend to see is that the muscles of their lower body actually are. We have seen in overweight elderly people that the rates of osteoporosis actually are far less because they're essentially carrying a weight vest. Unfortunately, the issue that comes with these large portions of fat is the heart disease, diabetes, these different things that come along with this overweight or obesity. But from a muscle system and a skeletal structure, being a little bit overweight actually does help with some of that in longevity. I wouldn't recommend being overweight. Yeah.
Well, my point is that overweight is not the cause of disease.
Yep.
It's a sign and symptom that what you've eaten likely is causing other diseases, but your strength might be greater than you think. And by simply beginning to participate in what you're sharing, because not only you're going to begin to move on a more regular basis and use some of those muscle groups, I think you were alluding to the upper body strength may be less, but the lower body strength is great. And I see many people that get up, they walk, they go to work, they do many things. So their actual strength is greater. And I think psychologically, if we can help people see that, and at the same time recognize that obesity causes no disease, it's associated with disease. And in actuality, by changing your diet, along with participating in CrossFit or other activities that keep you moving, you're going to significantly heal.
Absolutely. And so it is so cool. And you're correct. Our body is the ultimate adaptation machine. Us gaining this adipose tissue, this fat tissue, is actually a survival mechanism. Our body sees that, oh man, I have excess calories. Why would I waste those? I'm going to So it's just this stored energy. I also liked what you said there, changing nutrition, because I think that has to be number one. The second thing is whatever kind of movement you'll do. I believe in CrossFit. I love it, and I love what it's done to so many lives. But I always tell people the best kind of exercise is the one that you'll do. Doing something is going to be what we're designed to do. We are designed to move, and you see it both from a physiological level, but also a psychological level. People that move in some kind of way regularly tend to be happier people. Their body works better. They have a better mood, better everything. But it's all this thing that comes together. It's not one thing or the other.
Motion is motivating. Zach Bitter gave me that one a while back, and I love that. And ultimately, I know that sometimes for me, it's I just don't feel like getting out and walking or get on my treadmill, do my usual stuff. And like in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I've been on it. I start always slow, and suddenly it's like, hey, this is because the blood flow begins to go all over the body. The muscles loosen up. The brain begins to clear up. Can you tell us a little about your thoughts on just starting something and having that coach and cheerleader, how that can also help motivate us to get moving?
It absolutely can. So especially when you're starting, you've got to think about from the perspective of a person that has not exercised in a long time. So I'm going to do two scenarios. One is I haven't exercised in a long time. I am out of shape and I don't have a lot of knowledge on what to do. I can see YouTube videos and I can go online, but do I really know? Probably not. And so I step into whatever gym, Gold's Gym, Anytime Fitness, and I see a bunch of machines and go, I don't really know what to do, but I'm going to try to do something. And so you move around, or maybe you follow a program and you're really, really great for about 2 weeks. But then it gets hard and you get sore and work comes up, life comes up, family, and you go, you know what? I'm too busy for this, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not seeing the results I want to see. And so you leave and you stop and you go through this cycle that maybe every January 1st, which is what we normally see, that people try to pick it back up and they drop it. The difference between some kind of class-based program like CrossFit or anything else, Pilates, yoga, is you are going to have a coach, one, that knows what they're doing, that's going to guide you through it. Two, generally these classes create a community. And that's truly one of the things that I love most about what CrossFit does is this community that it creates, because most people find a class and they stick to it. And there's other people that are going into this class that are suffering together, is what we say. And when you don't come to class, you get a text from your coach, you get a text from your community. Hey, we haven't seen you in a minute. Where are you at? But the also cool thing about CrossFit, or the other cool thing about CrossFit, is I see people get these little wins all the time. Because CrossFit is so diverse, every day is something new and something that you haven't done before, and you feel like you're winning every day, at least at the start. And that just makes you want to come back and do it more.
One of the beauties I've loved about social media is that there's been a lot of inspiration in coaching and cheerleading. We're a community, we're a
Yeah.
family,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and critical for us to get out and to communicate. Now, we're not always leaving the house to do this, which
Sure.
is beautiful actually for so many people that don't need that can't get out for whatever reason.
Mhm.
What about CrossFit classes just at home? Are those things something that people can join into?
Yeah, and so I'm sure some gyms have it. During the craziness of COVID, we had online Zoom classes for every one of our things. Um, I know that there's gyms out there that do. We personally don't, because we believe in being in person and in community. Also, we want our community to be people that are around our area. I think that's important because our gym does expand out from the gym. We have dinners, we have events, we know each other's lives. We try to pour into what's going on, whether it is really, really great things and celebrating job promotions, or really tough things like deaths. And we can
Mhm.
all be there together. And if you're in San Francisco, I think it's harder for us to really be a part of that community, rather than I can see you in person. I can go to your house. I know that you need food for whatever reason. I'm going to drop it off. And I think community is built in person better than it's built online. I would recommend anybody that wants to find a really good community. There is on almost everywhere in the United States, within a 15-mile radius, probably a CrossFit gym near you.
And the coaching, the cheerleading, the
Mhm.
guidance sounds like a very important component for all of our health and wellness.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Dr. Kiltz, I'll say this. I knew very little about the carnivore diet. I knew next to nothing. I knew that I was supposed to eat meat, and that was it. And I followed people like yourself and Anthony Chaffee, and this whole myriad of people that believe in the same thing that I'm trying to follow. And through that, I gained more and more and more
Mhm.
knowledge. And I saw the results on how I felt, but I wanted to know the why. And thankfully, there are these coaches. I don't even know why I did quotes. There's these coaches out there
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
that know what they're doing. And I think in the fitness realm, it's so important too. CrossFit does have this bad name of everybody gets hurt. And the truth is, every CrossFit gym is unique in the coaching that they're going to give. We pride ourselves at UpReach CrossFit that all of our coaches have coached 5 years plus. There's distinctions in CrossFit where you can,
Mhm.
all of our coaches are a CrossFit level 2 or above. We believe that CrossFit should be coached, not cheerleaded. So when you come to our classes, we are going to guide you through everything, scale it specifically to you in a way that is healthy, in a way that is going to continue to make you into a better athlete and individual, as opposed to just giving you kind of this template and say, go. We want to make sure that you're doing it well.
I like your sort of talking a little bit about it's the fact that we can all be in a old age home, and there's everyone's laying in bed or sitting in a chair,
Yep.
and they're not moving,
Hmm.
and what we're really working to do is prevent us from all ending up there.
Yeah.
And the ability to get on the ground
Hmm.
and roll around and sit up and get up.
Yeah.
If you fall, you can get up. You can pick something up.
Hmm.
And I personally keep some weights right on my desk, and
Love
just I could just pick them up, and I got a pull up bar in my office,
it.
and these are important things for us to do just on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to do overly crazy things, but we need to lift and move to build strength of our muscles and keep that resistance going. You talked a little bit about nutrition. Tell us a little bit about where CrossFit brings nutrition in, or how you personally share with your clients and how they can improve their health.
Yeah. And so I think how CrossFit does it and how I do it are probably going to be a little bit different. I think this idea of carnivore is kind of a crazy concept. Truthfully, I'm going to tell you kind of a funny story. 3 years ago, no, man, longer than that, about 5 years ago, I had a friend that goes, Justin, I'm doing this thing called the carnivore diet and I'm just eating meat. And I remember saying, you cannot do that. You will be so sick. You have to. And I really tried to push him away from it. He's like, you don't understand. I feel so good. And I was like, this is not going to be good. Just from a personal standpoint, I have done probably every nutrition thing out there minus veganism. So I've done the zone, I've done Whole30, I've done paleo, I've done keto, I've done all of it. And carnivore was kind of a natural evolution of that. I wanted to try something different because my normal kind of flow was I would do a diet, a nutrition plan for about 30 days, maybe 60. And I would just be waiting for the cheat day. I'm eating this and I've just got to have it. And when I get to that cheat day, awesome. Okay, now I can start over and do it again. I wanted to try something different and I heard of this carnivore thing and I said, let's give it a try. And I did it for a month and then I did it for 2 months and then I did it for 3 months and I went, I don't feel like I want to stop this. Truthfully, for me, the big kind of flip, I was eating at Texas Roadhouse, having a ribeye. And if you've been to a Texas Roadhouse, they've got TVs everywhere. This commercial of pizza came on with the stringy pizza as they're pulling it up. And normally that would set me off. I'd be like, man, my mouth's watering. That looks so good. But I remember I'm eating my ribeye and I look over at the TV and that commercial goes on and I went, meh, and went back to my steak. This is the first nutrition thing that I've done. I've done this for over 2 years, by the way. The first nutrition thing that I've done that I don't think I'll ever stop. I feel so good. My energy levels are up and I feel so good that I want to share it with everybody. I think I've got to be a little bit careful in the gym because there's differing opinions, but I know how I feel. Another story real quick is I do have a client.
Those are important.
Yeah. Another client that I got on this struggling with all kinds of blood issues, heart disease, things like that. And so I said, hey, I know this might sound crazy. This is something that I've been doing for a while. Why don't we try this carnivore diet? Just give it a try and see how you do. And so we did it for 3 months. He lost weight. All of his blood work numbers came back better. And I remember it was such a crazy difference that the doctor goes, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm doing the carnivore diet. And the craziest thing is the doctor goes, oh, you shouldn't do that. Even though all of his numbers are better, everything's better. And the doctor goes, oh, wait, I can't, don't do that. And it is crazy to me that that's kind of where we live in right now. I know it works for me. And that's what I always tell people. It is personally worked awesome for me. I think until you try it yourself, every human's different, but it's been life-changing.
Do you think that this is a fad? Atkins and Zone and all those other diets, even Weight Watchers may be going by the wayside, maybe. But it is it something that you think is sustainable and is a game changer compared to everything else out there?
So coming from a person that's done almost everything else out there, I know it's a game changer for me. We talk kind of in these holistic things about movement and nutrition. Really kind of what sold me on the carnivore diet, other than how I felt, is I've got to think about how humans have been through the millennium. And I know that humans at one point probably just ate meat because that's what was available. Maybe they gathered some things, but the most readily available thing was we hunted big game and we ate that. The second thing is that hunting part. Humans moved. And so we do these really two basic things of movement and eating these things that we've been eating for thousands upon thousands of years. And for us to change that, because of whatever emerging science seemed a little crazy to me. I also know that you look at these modern health issues that have just come up in the last 70, 80 years that weren't there before. And so we've got to look that there was something happening before where we didn't see all these things. And then we changed something. And now we're seeing these a lot more.
Dr. Rob Kiltz, another beautiful, spectacular day. And I just want to send thanks to all of those for watching the newest episode of Carnivore Conversations. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, and other streaming platforms to gain access to the full 1-hour episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more to come. God bless.